We spend so much time these days talking about physical health, right? We're optimizing our diets, hitting the gym, obsessively tracking our 10,000 steps. But we rarely talk about the physical toll of the invisible things we carry. Today, we're unpacking the weight of resentment and the profound gift of letting go. We're going to dive into a really powerful parable that exposes the hidden, actual weight of our everyday grudges. And I promise you, by the end of this explainer, you're going to look at your daily frustrations in a completely different light. Let's get into it.
So think about this for a second. What actually happens when you keep a record of every single time you've been wronged? We all do it mentally. We've got this running mental spreadsheet of, the person who cut us off in traffic, the colleague who took credit for our idea, the friend who canceled at the absolute last minute. But what if that record wasn't just mental? Imagine if you had to physically strap those frustrations to your body and carry them around all day. Well, that's exactly the premise of the story we're exploring today. Meet our protagonist, Arav. He just turned 18. It's a huge milestone, right? Stepping into adulthood, getting new responsibilities. Now, for an 18th birthday, you might expect a watch, maybe some cash, or if you're really lucky, the keys to a car. But instead, Arav's grandfather gives him something, well, highly unusual. He hands him a sturdy, old backpack. It's totally empty, but it's rugged. And Arav is understandably a bit confused. A backpack? But as you'll see, this wasn't for carrying school books. This bag was the central tool for a fascinating 7-day challenge his grandfather had cooked up.
Inside that backpack was a note with a really strange instruction. It read, "For the next 7 days, every time someone hurts you, disappoints you, or makes you angry, place a stone in this bag." I mean, think about how profoundly simple, yet totally bizarre that task actually is. Naturally, Arav just laughed. He looked at his grandfather like, what kind of gift is this? And his grandfather, with that calm wisdom only grandparents seem to have, just smiled and said, "Trust me." So Arav decides to play along. I mean, how many times can you really get hurt or angry in just 1 week? Seemed like a piece of cake. Well, Arav starts his challenge, and man, things escalate quickly. Day 1, he has an argument with his best friend. Boom. He finds a stone, drops it in the backpack. Just one stone, right? No big deal. But then day 3 rolls around. He deals with a horribly rude customer at his part-time job. Another stone goes in. The bag's getting a little bulky now, and as the days drag on, the offenses just keep piling up. By the time we hit day 7, Arav isn't just annoyed anymore. He is in a state of total, utter exhaustion. The pacing of his entire life has slowed down to a painful crawl. Let's look at what actually went into that bag. By the end of the week, those stones had turned into a rapid-fire collection of daily grievances. The argument with his best friend, a classmate mocking his ideas, his brother breaking a promise, that rude customer we talked about, a teacher being overly critical of his project, an annoying relative comparing him to someone else. It was this chaotic, relentless accumulation of life's daily slights. Notice, none of these are massive, life-altering tragedies. They're just the standard, everyday frictions of being human. But when you don't let them go, when you bag up every single one of those minor grievances, they multiply. And the physical toll? By the end of the week, the totally abstract concept of emotional baggage had become incredibly visceral and real for him. Carrying that backpack became an absolute nightmare. We're talking shoulders aching under the straps, his lower back hurting constantly. Even just taking a few steps across the room felt completely exhausting. The emotional energy it took to hold on to the anger from the classmate or the brother or the teacher, it had literally manifested as heavy, jagged rocks pulling him down to the floor. He was exhausted because he was actively carrying the weight of his own resentment. So on the 7th day, deeply frustrated and in a literal physical pain, Arav throws the backpack onto his grandfather's table. He's venting, saying, "I don't get it. People disappoint us. That's life. What am I supposed to do?" His grandfather just calmly looks at him and asks, "Who put the stones in the bag?" And Arav has to admit, well, he did. And that's when the grandfather delivers the central epiphany of the whole story. He says, "Others may have caused the pain, but you chose to carry it." Let that sink in for a second. The rude customer caused the initial sting, for sure, but Arav was the one who picked up the rock and decided to carry it around for days. Every grudge, every painful memory you refuse to release becomes a literal weight. The longer you hold it, the heavier your life gets. But Arav's reaction to this is so relatable, and honestly, it's probably exactly what you're thinking right now. So, should I just pretend nothing happened? This is the immediate classic pushback. When someone wrongs us, our ego screams that letting it go means letting them off the hook. It feels like if we drop the rock, we're somehow saying the other person was right, or that our pain just doesn't matter. Arav is essentially asking, am I supposed to be a doormat here? Do I just smile and accept bad behavior? It's a huge question. How are we actually supposed to handle genuine wrongs in the real world?
Well, the grandfather shakes his head. He redefines the word entirely. He says, forgiveness is refusing to let the pain control your future. And this is absolutely crucial. It does not mean what happened was acceptable. The grandfather explains to Arav that letting go of the rock doesn't mean the person who threw it was justified. Not at all. It simply means you're making a conscious choice that their bad behavior is not going to dictate your posture, your energy, or your future. You're taking your power back. Okay, so how do we actually do this? The grandfather opens the backpack and tells Arav to take out just one stone. The bag immediately feels a little lighter. You see, it doesn't happen all at once. You don't just dump the bag out, dust off your hands, and pretend everything is instantly perfect. It is a step-by-step process. Dropping a stone might look like one difficult conversation you finally have. It might be one quiet moment of acceptance. It's one deliberate decision to just stop replaying the past on a loop in your head. It's a gradual, intentional process of unburdening yourself, piece by piece. Over the next few weeks, Arav actually took this wisdom and ran with it. He started emptying his metaphorical backpack in the real world. First, he apologized where he needed to, basically taking responsibility for his own stones. He stopped expecting everyone to understand him, which, let's be real, is a massive rock we almost all carry. He accepted that some people are just never going to change, and he stopped trying to force them to. And most importantly, he stopped carrying pain that no longer served him. If a resentment wasn't protecting him or teaching him a valuable lesson, he simply took it out of his bag and left it behind. Fast forward a few months. Arav finds that old backpack sitting in his room. He reaches down and lifts it with just one hand. It was completely empty. And for the first time in years, he felt truly light. Now, this wraps up Arav's story, but it brings us to a profound realization. Life doesn't miraculously get easier because you suddenly have fewer problems. People are still going to be rude, friends are still going to argue, setbacks are definitely still going to happen. Life gets easier and infinitely lighter when you consciously choose to drop the unnecessary weight you've been hauling around. So if you take nothing else away from this explainer, please let it be this. Forgiveness is not something you do for others. It's something you do for yourself. When you hold a grudge, you aren't punishing the other person. They're likely just going about their day completely unaware. You are the one carrying the rocks. You are the one with the aching shoulders. Letting go is literally the ultimate act of self-care. It's putting down a burden that was never really yours to carry forever. Which brings us to our final thought. I really want you to sit with this today. What unnecessary weight are you ready to drop right now? Think about your own backpack. Whose name is on the rocks you're carrying around? Is it an old boss, an ex, a highly critical relative? Remember, taking the rock out of your bag doesn't mean what they did was okay. It just means you're tired of carrying it and you are ready to walk lighter. Take a moment today, find just one stone, and choose to drop it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you next time.